A fitness influencer promotes a protein shake but doesn't use hashtag ad because they already love the product.
Unethical.
A creator posts a reel reviewing 3 products, but only one of them is paid. No disclosure at all.
Unethical.
A parenting influencer casually mentioned a kid's vitamin brand in a morning routine reel. The brand paid, but she says this isn't a full ad, just my life.
Unethical.
A gamer live streams with a big brand logo in the background. Turns out it's a paid placement, but no on-screen disclosure.
Unethical.
A podcast host reads out an ad but doesn't say it's paid. It's embedded like regular conversation.
Unethical.
Okay, so almost everything feels unethical today. So how a regular person can analyze what's real and what's sponsored?
See, I think at a basic level, what I do believe is that anyone who receives any compensation, monetary, barter, for promoting content needs to make a good disclosure, right? If it means a hashtag or whatever.
Right.
I think anyone who conceals disclosure is fundamentally being unethical, right? Whether he's a celebrity, whether he's a small-time influencer. The only exceptions I would say is that sometimes you do write about brands and about experiences.
Okay.
Because you had a positive one, right? And that could be a natural one, which you might feel happy. You had a great holiday in Kerala, you stayed at a fancy hotel, you like the cooking, you like the food. If you write about that, that's
so you are just appreciating
just
that.
Appreciating, right? So giving public appreciation is fine.
Fine, right.
But the moment there is an exchange or it's done in anticipation of exchange, that I'm going to review a restaurant. And,
right.
Therefore the restaurant is alerted and in a sense giving me a discount, throwing a freebie, I think then the issue comes. So one has to be pretty clear.
There was a time when celebrity accountability or celebrity power was so strong. Because Shah Rukh Khan does this perfume brand or deo brand. So now I'm going to buy this deo. Now for influencer, it's like equal thing.
Oh, absolutely. Like I said, with celebrities, the good part is that people immediately know what, Gen Z especially, that is purely a commercial transaction, right? There is, outside of the set, he's going to walk away and say, what is this brand? I think with influencers, I think it's there's a little bit of organic nature built into influencing. And therefore that is a big plus. And like I said, the currency of influence is trust.
I think brands these days are more trusting on nano influencers and macro influencers over bigger ones.
So I think the reason why that's happening, Mauli, is that trust is becoming the dominant currency, right? Which is what people went to influencers.
You trust them more.
You trust them more. I would say that I would trust a small influencer in the south of Tamil Nadu with 3,000 followers who's putting out a point of view.
Okay.
Because likely that her 3,000 followers believe in her and trust in her. Then having 4 million plus influencers who obviously are building their careers on influence. So I think, and therefore today, thanks to technology, I think a lot of brands recognize that you can actually build, I'm putting a loose number here, 7,000 nano or micro influencers whose impact can possibly outweigh the value of a primetime TV commercial. Okay. Because there's a lot more authenticity that, right? The TV commercial might still give you the umbrella of awareness and scale, but the believability is much higher when it's someone next door, in your neighborhood, someone of your cohort that works. It always works.
People are also normalizing dark humor these days.
Yeah, it is. It is tragic, but I mean, it is what it is. Like I said, what social media has done, Mauli, I think clearly is that with close to a couple of billion users around the world, I think it's empowered everyone. Today, all of us are mediums in our own right. 30 years ago, everything that went on into a publication, into a TV station was edited, was screened, was censored, right? Today, there are 2 billion pieces of media that are creating content every minute, right? And who can stop what you watch? So I think a little bit of better human judgment has to work. But clearly, we need to work at mechanisms that make this thing solid. Great. So I would say 3 things: certification and training. So everyone's on the same thing. More pressure on platforms to be very clear with their disclosures, saying use your tools, but flag off anything that seems very clearly. And make it very clear, even if the influencer and the brand have not done it, I think put it up there. And third is far more stringent punishment, name and shame, or even beyond, even financial punishment.
What punishment but they can give?
I I think we've seen a small start. SEBI has already put in guidelines for fintech influencers.
Okay.
Right? People are creating.
What are these guidelines?
I think what SEBI has really said that anyone who's recommending a particular stock or a particular mutual fund, I think there has to be a clear disclosure.
If a brand is misleading, for example, so they will automatically face the consequences. But what influencer does it, they just delete the post. So who you think should be accountable here? Both, or just only brand, or just influencer?
Clearly both. I
Right.
think it's not fair that we have two separate sets of rules. If a brand has been pulled up for fake advertising or for making a misleading claim, very often they're penalized. They're named and shamed. There are bodies like ASCII that publicly name them. So I think it's clearly a violation. Similarly, I think if an influencer is knowingly making a wrong claim, I think very clearly just deleting it and walking away is not a solution. I think clearly...
Then what is the solution?
I think the best way for an influencer to regain his credibility is to apologize upfront, possibly using the original tweet, and to make a clean breast of it saying, yes, that was a mistake. That will add to his authenticity. But if you're just going to delete and walk away, I think it's not acceptable. I know a lot of influencers do that. But why should it be a different standard for a brand and for an influencer? Right? Both did it at a clear commercial transaction. Why should the brand get pulled up and the influencer so just delete and walk away?
I think we were also talking about this influencer thing. So there are some influencers who call themselves creators. Those you were mentioning, more awareness, more aware, those. They call themselves creators, not influencers. Even they get offended. Why are you calling me influencer? I'm a creator, not influencer.
I think it's fair. I think everyone, for example, a lot of media houses are debating now because there are some people who like to call themselves journalists or reporters or correspondents, and some call themselves content creators. I think the line is blurring, right? I think very clearly we are saying that anyone who puts out anything, a report, a point of view, any piece of original work, I think can be called anything, right? I don't have issue. And I respect the fact that influence reeks of, has a commercial motive, right? Pretty much you can call yourself a creator. I fully respect that. Just that even as a creator, the moment you are taking on an assignment with some degree of a commercial imperative, I think disclose it.
Even SK has started SK Academy for this, to educate, to spread awareness about.
Fantastic initiative. I think that has been, so I think ASCII has been doing some great work. I know that they've recently got a kind of influencer governing council. I think good stuff. But I just say that the scale has to be remarkable.
Now these days, AI influencers are also trending. Then who's accountable?
Oh, I think that is a whole new area.
Right.
I think in AI influencers, it's difficult to point accountability. Is it the coder? Is it the platform on which it was premiered? Is it the brand that hired the AI influencer? So I think synthetic trust, as one would call this whole AI influencer space, I think is opening up a huge can of worms, right? Because there is no clear ownership. And worse is that this can happen at scale, right? So AI influencers can be magnified at a huge scale, which can create a large scale damage. So I believe it's imminent, but we need to build some guardrails soon, because this can become a tinderbox of great scale, right? We are literally speaking in the shadow of, let's say, an uprising that happened in Nepal a few years back. And the biggest point there was about social media being banned. So I think social media has a large influence, no looking away from that, right? For a lot of people, their day starts on, social media, be it Insta or YouTube or whatever. And you end it. So therefore, it's a great tool of our civilization. It's a realization for people that you can't get by without it. Let's be very clear.
Platforms, do you think, should be accountable for that?
So where I believe today platforms are not pulling their weight, and all the big social media platforms are large global tech firms.
True.
Some of them are among the topmost market capitalization firms in the world. I think they are not pulling their weight because today I think technologies are available to easily flag off inorganic influencer content, right? So if it's a paid content, it's a barter content. No, I think it's very obvious. Let me give you an example. Today, if you take a video clip of a cricket match, the rights of which are owned by one of the big TV stations, right? You upload even a 10-second video of that cricket match or that sports event on Twitter, you will quickly get a quick thing that this is a copyright violation. Right? So there are algorithms available with the big tech platforms that tell you within seconds of uploading any content on whether it's original content, whether it's copyright content. And I'm saying this upfront, both Insta and YouTube's have tools which influencers use, which are called brand collaboration manager tools, right? So they almost instinctively can tell if a content is paid for or has a barter deal built in immediately. And very often, so they can tell immediately.
Influencers use this tool.
Absolutely. And so do influencers use this tool. So I think they know almost instinctively. Right now, they have set the benchmark very low. So at best, there'll be a prompt coming saying, is this paid for? And if you say whatever, it still goes on. I guess they also want to grow their platforms, right? There's a bit of greed saying more users, the better.
True, AI can be used to track AI only.
Absolutely.
Right.
I think there are enough clues. And, my sense is the technology is good enough to get 98%, 99%. And there'll still be an occasional influencer saying that I didn't get money for this, and that's fine. But I think the bulk of it can be flagged. And I think that's where, a big screening would happen.
So there are some cases also recently happened, like the Poonam Pandey case. Many people found it crossed the ethical line. So do you think, was it awareness according to you, or yes, they definitely crossed the line?
I would say it was a great way to build awareness. That's where it stops. I think beyond that, I think it was emotional manipulation, which is not good, right? I think the moment an influencer betrays trust, I think he breaks, right? So for me, it was obviously, you're speaking about something that is deeply emotional, right? We've all seen cancer survivors. So I think never make a bit of an emotional kind of trust deficit, right? That, to my mind, reeked of it. It really overstepped the line, right? So I think creating awareness, using your celebrity status to create awareness is a good thing, but do it with dignity, do it with professionalism. I think that was clearly overstepping the line.
Any influencer you think should be cancelled?
I can't think of individual names, and I'll be very honest, but I think there is a strong case for a set of influencers to be cancelled. Those who do violate, to my mind, 2 or 3 things. I think one, who peddle influence on health issues, right? So anything, to my mind, which is health, is pretty serious. That means if people are going to follow you and cause harm to themselves, in the worst case, cause harm to their lives, I think that's unpardonable, right? I think it has to be as stringent as a pharma company. So I think that is one. I think to a smaller but equally important extent is financial influencers who lead you down the path of ruin, right? By recommending something unethically, right? Knowing fully well that whatever, it's going down, but just to make a short-term gain. And in this whole futures and options world, people do short-term trading. I think financial influencers should be, well, you are doing unethical stuff. Again, you can't take.
Not everyone are.
Yeah, I think these two, to my mind, are something that if someone is proven guilty, I think it's worthy of looking at it. Specifically health and secondary financial. I think those areas are important. We have something like a very basic. So anyone who aspires to take on a brand of influencer, at least kind of passes a basic certification that these are things that I will honestly do. This is the kind of methods that I will follow. I think that would be great. SEBI has already put in guidelines for fintech influencers. Right? People are creating.
What are these guidelines?
I think what SEBI has really said that anyone who's recommending a particular stock or a particular mutual fund, I think there has to be a clear disclosure. Right? At one level, SEBI says it's almost not right to do it. Right? And how they define a fintech influencer is a little gray. But you cannot go ahead and recommend a particular stock. It's fundamentally what.
Don't follow that.
As of now, I don't know what is the penal mechanisms. I think they're yet to be built in. I think it's already started. But I would say finance is big and scary. Even bigger, to my mind, is the whole issue of health. Right? Today, if there are influencers who are peddling hypothetically a skin cream or a diet pill, in the worst case, it can have a few people, but these could cost lives.
True.
Right? And therefore, I would say those are very, very sticky, right? And therefore, if guidelines don't come in soon, or if, shall we say, self-guidelines or things like ASCII, which is self-regulation, doesn't come in, I think these can become potentially huge areas.
Do you think younger audience, Gen Z, actually are more ethically aware?
Absolutely. I think the hope for the influencer economy, to my mind, are Gen Z. I work closely with a lot of startups. I see firsthand that, and I really believe that Gen Z are born with certain filters for fakery, right? I think because they've grown up in an internet environment. So I think they sense it very clearly. The other great thing that I heard, and I do believe Gen Z believes strongly in, is that they're happy with disclosure and still believe in influencers. If a person says that he's got
true.
that, but he's still willing
Like
to
I
swear
mentioned.
that this product is good, I tried myself, I think they realize that. Third, a lot of Gen Z is also able to, besides sensing fakery, also able to look behind. So if they see that the influencer has generally over time been using a product or using a particular thing, then there's a certain believability that this is positive. So I think they've got a far better evolved sense of detecting fakery. I think the challenge, actually, if you ask me, is the millennials and beyond. I mean, millennials have been less so, but I would say the baby boomers or Gen X, as you call it. And the concern or the tragedy for the businesses, a lot of the CXOs or the CMOs taking the decision still belong to that category.
To that, right.
So, I mean, I've been part of a few conversations and seen that the first cut that most marketers and business leaders do on influencers, including founders, is follow account, right? And once a follow account is okay, then they'll possibly go a little deeper. Very few of them are talking the language of authenticity and trust, which is what their brand talks about. But for them, first is follow account. Then they'll do a little bit of likes and views. Then they possibly get into engagement, wherein the actual value of most content is actually the amount of engagement that people have. And that tells you to what extent are people intent. So I think recognizing resonance as opposed to numbers is something that generation still struggles with.
So I think even success metric also for influencer campaigns are engagement rate and likes, shares. Doesn't matter ki what is the ROI actually. Influencers actually have more ROI than traditional or other mediums.
Absolutely. I think when it comes to marketing ROI, I think certainly influencers have a much better value. I think what we have not figured out and which businesses need to work on is how do you do influencer campaigns at scale, which is not about getting 20 influencers with 1 million followers, but getting 2,000 or 20,000 micro nano influencers who can do it organically, almost organically. I think that holy grail has not been very easily done as yet. I'm sure a few brands are doing them in pockets, but I think that's something that possibly will be a far better one. But it'll also be tough for end consumers because then it's going to be very difficult, right? So influencing is also very subtle in that sense when it happens at that scale. But that could be an area.
So if you had 30 seconds with a young consumer before they buy something from influencer, what's the only thing you would tell them?
I would say before buying the product, buy the influencer's credibility first. Go a little deeper. Try and understand if he generally uses the product, likes the product, has a kind of experience over time. Don't just go for what they publicly declare. I would say look beyond the obvious influence. Look a little bit on what are the causative factors. If someone is really watching for something, try and see a little bit of a timeline and then make an assessment. Don't go blindly on.
Well, that's all for today. Thank you so much for coming. It was really informative. And
thank you. Enjoyed chatting, Mauli. Thank you. And guys.